Good morning and welcome to Legally Speaking with attorney Antoinette Osbourne. I apologize for the late start this morning. I actually nearly never came on this morning, but I apologize for the late start. All right, so good morning and again, and welcome to Legally Speaking with attorney Antoinette Osbourne. This program is for information purposes only. If you need legal advice, you can contact me, Antoinette Osbourne, at 718-502-9137. That's 718-502-9137. The office focuses on divorce, immigration, bankruptcy, real estate, and estate matters. We also do eviction proceedings. There is a second office in Jamaica, West Indies that focuses on legal representation. If you are seeking to buy or sell property in Jamaica, or if you are looking to wrap up an estate. So let me just, I think a text came in and they wanted to know if we were doing the live. So just bear with me 1 second and let me just let them know that we are live now. All right, so here we go. All right, whew, child. All right, so what can I tell you? I really got some good news yesterday from one of my clients, and I'm so extremely happy for her and for anyone. Nicola is back with us again this morning. Please don't forget to like the live. Please don't forget to share the live. I am so ecstatic for one of my clients because it was, if anyone who is joining us this morning have ever been the subject of an investigation by immigration, you will know when you are finally able to overcome and cross that barrier and get your case approved. It is such a blessing. Anyone who has been through the whole immigration process, and more so what we'll find is you will find a fraud determination mainly happening here in the United States. And why is this? This often is because they have the ability to go to your home, interview your neighbors, basically case the place, right? Do thorough investigations. Uh, it is uh, it is rare. I have had a client who in Jamaica has been investigated. I mean, like they go to the home. Yeah. So I don't want people to think just because they live overseas, they cannot be the subject of an investigation. And this is my second client that the first time, I'll tell you what happened. With my first client, they came to me after uh, they were with another attorney before, and the case got approved and then it got revoked. And then after the revocation, they came to me. And I don't know, I'll probably ask my clients if they would be willing to come on. You know, it's their case. But I've had this twice, and in terms of the neighbor giving an account, and sometimes the landlord giving an account, and it is a hurdle because when you get the factual circumstances that they present, it's like you look at your clients and like, what the, yeah, it's How did this happen? And I don't want people to get so lax in their application process. And it could be anything that triggers an investigation. It could be that your mail gets returned back to them. And because the mail gets sent back, they don't believe you live there. So they send out the HSI officers to investigate, do these people really live there? And this is where, if you have a neighbor where their intent, or probably owe the landlord rent, and this is why people must pay your rent, yeah, because you get the wrong landlord saying certain things. I don't care if that landlord is a citizen. Anytime and it's immigration at the door. Even immigrants who are citizens, they become terrified and they're thinking that their status is in jeopardy. Yeah. So I would encourage, and live good with your landlord. I tell anyone I live good with everybody. And the other day I was having some issues with my car, and it's my prior landlord from a commercial space. He says, because he was aware what was going on, and he was trying to assist me by calling, mechanics he knew. And he said, Antoinette, you know what? I have a car here. Why don't you come and use it? Right. And this is why, I didn't use the car. I thanked him for the offer, but I did not use it. But this is a type of relationships. And this is not our own countrymen, right, that made the offer. And this is why I don't care where somebody is from. Once a person has a good heart, you must know how to live with people. Yeah. And I'll tell you this, when you have an application in, and anything, like I said, they could get a call in. Yeah. Could be an ex-girlfriend who is, or probably a man a gay bun, me no know, right? And the fact that you were chosen over them, you're going to get a call in. I'll never forget my client who, she will call me the other day, and this is years ago. I did a child support case for her. But this is a concept that would happen, right? Yes, she'll get born in the house. You know it go. She'll get born in the house, but she'll hold it like a G, right? But what you have to understand is, as a wife, you have no knowledge on your mate unless your mate really get bright. But the mate has every bit of information about you. So she sit at home and she hear the phone ring. And good girl, I gotta take up her phone, yeah? And not like people like me. Sometimes I have no idea. People get upset. I have no idea where my cell is. Most of the time it's on silent because I'm a court person, right? So often my interviews are in the afternoon and people get mad. No, I can't see in the morning. Well, I have a court appearance, yeah? So she hear the phone ring. Brrr. So she don't know the number, right? No. I think the number came up as unknown. Yeah, because you know when I call it from unknown number, it's nothing good, yeah? It's either law enforcement or you know what time it is. It's crap. But she took up the phone and she said, hello? So the girl said she understand it's time for her to leave her man because she just get engaged 2 weeks ago. Yeah. And it's time for her to leave and move up out of the place. So a real good girl taking everything now. You ready for this? So she now respond and say she not leave because 3 weeks ago she and the boy married. Big girl, what you gonna do now? Eh? Yeah. So you know me a shock. One of the funniest things is where she finally find out the girl name now. So one of the worst thing, two of them pregnant the same time. Yeah, man, come on. What if you do better than that? The two of them going to the same maternity clinic. So you know what that means? They're living within close vicinity of each other. Yeah. So that a go on pan what a go on now. And this is why sometimes so she said, Antoinette, she said, Mr. Goody, me sit down in the clinic. I like me hear them call the girl name. Huh? So she said, I remember, you know, this is your mate, so you don't know what your mate look like, but your mate know because your wife. So your mate know everything about you. She have your number, she have your date of birth, might all have your social security too. Not no secret, right, yourself. So the nurse now calling out the girl name. Like so she name Roxanne. We can't. She name like Roxanne Brown, right? We are give her a name. So the nurse in the clinic, Roxanne Brown? My client said she sit down there, wait for sight the girl. Nobody now move in at the clinic. Roxanne Brown? Quiet. Everything quiet, nobody now move. Roxanne Brown, are you here? So she said she got lose her spot now, girl jump up. Boop. Girl, me see what you look like now. Yeah. Yeah. There's a little hell after that, but so if you get born and your man a file for you, sometime your mate will call in, and this is we have to be realistic now. People them really don't know nothing about you. It's either your documentation is such that it presents a trigger for fraud, so they're gonna send out the officers, or the mail gets returned, or somebody do a call in or a write in on you. Yeah? So this is how your nice, good, clean file now can get or can become the subject of an investigation. Simple. Yeah? And I will tell you this. My last client who just got her thing approved, right? Let me tell you, say them dig. Yeah, man. The only person them probably never dig our dead great grandmama back in Africa. Yeah? For black people, you know, we are the diaspora for Africa. Yeah. So, and this is why, well, me not add no more people on Facebook really. Some of my clients, me tell anybody, the reason I joined Facebook was to serve as summons. I'm not a social media person. And this like, I don't know, Facebook must see people who you email, send them email and let them know. Or, you know, other people just, and I'm there. So she sent me a message yesterday and a screenshot that it was approved. And I will tell you this, I was like the day before I got a message, officer whatever call, and I'm thinking it's NYPD, and I'm like, what's going on? They want to see the cameras. I don't know, but my cameras point on the sidewalk. I have no idea, or it's not my business what's going on in the street before me in the office. So it just parked on the sidewalk, and I'm thinking, okay, possibly it's this officer. An officer wants to see the camera for the sidewalk. So I missed the call. The next morning, them call back and say, no, man, this serious, man. So now when they call in the morning, they basically state that they are calling from immigration. So you have to tell the office, okay, the next time, I mean, officers and judges, the call from court as an attorney, you are, no matter what you do, you're going to take that call, right? So I said, anytime that officer calls back again, put him through. I know this is why I already have several files I go on, which file them I come on. And the officer said, all right, it's X file. And he needs, a certain document because during the investigation, this came to their attention and he needs the document. So it's a good thing my client had sent me that document so I could overnight it to him. And God is willing, God is able, she got approved, and I'm so thankful. But for those of you who you have your cases, I am going to tell you this. Make sure that your documents are in order. And I think as an immigrant, you have to be very careful who you share very personal things with. This is not a place like, I sincerely think, and this is why people will become very insular in their societies, right? Because this state is a melting pot for a lot of countries, a lot of people of different religion, ethnicities, and so forth. And what you'll find is in each immigrant community, they try to stick to their own kind, right? Their people. That's what they try to do. And I'll tell you, sometimes you never know who is going to be a blessing to you, and you never know who is going to be horrible. So my guidance to those of you who you're expecting mail from immigration, make sure your name is on your post office box. I also encourage people try and ensure, become, we call it postman in Jamaica, they call it mailman here. My mail lady left, and she has been replaced by one of even the nicest, and absolutely love them. I think if I ever move from that spot, that's who I'm gonna miss. I'm gonna miss my mail lady. She is a wonderful. Christmas come, and me never even know say she could bake, and me not really eat from people. But this woman has such a kind heart. Yeah, man. And she can bake to it taste good. So everybody in the office are dibs. But you just, in preparing your file, you have to be so, how would I call it now? You have to be careful. And the simplest of things that you don't think is a red flag, it is. Bear with me 1 second. Let me just turn this on. All right. So yes, it looks a little bit brighter. Yeah, you have to be careful. Yeah. Simple things that I have seen. You provide a lease, the landlord don't sign it. How is that possible? Then who are you entering a lease with? You provide a lease and your spouse name is on it and your spouse has not signed it. One of the issues that will occur is if they see like crossouts on documents, and like a name being crossed out, right? And like your name is inserted above that. That becomes highly suspicious for them. So, I mean, I will encourage absolutely everyone, make sure your documentation is in order. And for especially your landlords that actually live on the compound, it would be highly suspicious if it is that the landlord lives on the compound, and I'll tell anyone when they're coming, it's two officers. one to question you, and one to watch you. Yeah, because your body language, everything is being observed. And if you have a landlord, right, and this is like a substantial period into the application, and your landlord, you live there, but the landlord, and remember, one of the things that you have to be aware of is, let's get real, you're sending pictures at the time you have your application in process. So they're going to go to the people who live in the building or your actual neighbor. Make when them come there, them see one of your neighbor walk out. Yeah, man, them are rush it, man. They are going to rush them. So I'll tell you this. uh, kind of even be a little bit friendly with one of your neighbors. So if they come and they question them, and introduce your spouse to them. Your landlord has to be nobody sneaking. This is not welfare where you have to hide your man. You really have to show your man, right? So hold on one second. I'm trying to. All right, so I miss my good mornings. Good morning, Max, Michelle, Steffi, Madge, Brian. Morning, sunshine. All right, so morning, Melanie. All right, let's see something here. All right, so please don't forget to say where you are listening from. Morning, Flavia. All right, so Pauline says, "Happy Sunday, Antoinette and the Legally Speaking family." Indeed, good morning. All right, let me tell you something. These applications are not a game, and I don't think people realize how serious it is until and then say fire there must steal. Yeah, man, this serious, man. If you are ever under an investigation and you can't overcome that hurdle of fraud, then guess what? There is going to be a determination of marriage fraud. And one of the dangers of that is, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to get that green card, right? It's like doing a frivolous asylum application. You go into court and the judge makes sure to warn you, or if you have an attorney, the attorney is reminded to warn you of the consequences of a frivolous asylum application, because guess what, your application is deemed frivolous. You're never going to get a green card. And this is why, for people who are running and they're filing these applications to get a frivolous determination, is a nightmare. It is like sealing your coffin, right? Because you have this determination, you've wasted their time, right? And if it is such that there's so much fraud committed, it just doesn't make sense. And I would encourage anyone that if they are doing an application, be truthful, right? All right, so just tuning in, thank you for joining us this morning. You're tuning into Legally Speaking with attorney Antoinette Osbourne. Now, if you have a question this morning, you can post it in the live. You can call in at 718-502-9137. You can also text your question to 718-502-9137. All right. Applications that are being submitted, and I'm going to encourage you this morning, look at your documents. Yeah. Parents filing for children, ensure that the children are you are named as the parent on the birth certificate. I can't understand. I find this, you know where I find this? I find this sometimes with Haitians, and I find this a lot with Jamaicans, and it is the father. And the good thing about Jamaica now is we have these DNA testing sites in Jamaica. I think it was the embassy that unfortunately our women did not look too good after those results came out, where it shows that like 1 in 3 of the children, I believe, that were tested were not the children of the father. And usually the test to determine paternity is generally done for illegitimate children, because they're not going to assume that during the marriage your wife is going to be whoring down the place. So legally, the law also presumes that if the child is born during the marriage, the child is yours. So for married women who are Jezebels, this is where you are covered. Yeah? But every presumption can be rebutted. However, for the embassy, they do not do the paternity test for legitimate children. It is the illegitimate children that the DNA gets pulled on. And the fact that the DNA is a match, if that child is illegitimate, your burden is heavier for men who do not like to marry women, for women who sit down waiting on. I don't understand people like to play house. After you reach a certain age, this should not be part of your life story. How long are you going to play house for? Caller, you're on the live. Morning, darling. And you have to speak a little bit louder because your voice is so soft.
I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just calling because I have a custody case literally almost 2 years, and I'm getting the runaround.
It may not be you're getting the runaround. It may just be the court system. Because, sir, which county are you in?
Bronx.
All right. The Bronx is overwhelmed. Yeah. You would get quicker dates in the suburbs. The city is overwhelmed, so your dates are usually far and few in between. So speak to your attorney to find out what's going on and why is it, because your attorney usually can give you an idea. I've had cases where, and I'm gonna move from custody to a divorce. One of the longest cases I have ever had in a divorce case, it was for 5 years. So it may just be the court system, and I'm going to encourage you to speak to your attorney to see why is it that the case is taking so long, and they should be able to give you an answer. Yeah.
Okay. My custody is not like the father is here. It's just I got sick and I was hospitalized and I was treated badly. In the court, I'm stereotyped. Going to the doctor, I'm being stereotyped. And the lawyer's not really doing much for me either. Because, as I said, speak to your attorney, he's not doing much for me either. Even the situation, my passport got taken up from the house. I was overdosed at the hospital. It's a lot. So
My God, if you're
when I go to the doctors, them now they're giving me the run around because now they're like, okay, Miss Williams, mandate you for you to take medication. Stuff like that. I've been going through with ACS. I've gone through they said that I had an ACS case, now I had an ACPS case.
wow.
And they took back, I went through the process, I got 4 hours visitation with my child. Now I'm back to unsupervised visitation because medication is becoming mandatory. When I go to these doctors, they're like, okay, Miss Will, you have to take the medication.
Okay, so are these medications, how do I put this? Are these medications for your mental health?
That's one that they were giving me for. I'm not able to say on the live.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I had a feeling that is what you're going to say. All right, you can also change your attorney as well, even if it's court appointed. All right, but have a conversation with your attorney still, and hopefully just make an appointment. Ask them you'd like to come into their office, make an appointment, because I know for me it's hard with the phone, so I like to have my clients when they really need to discuss something, and I'm going to make the time in terms of a in-person or a phone or a Zoom, so we can have that specific time to deal with certain issues. All right, I think that's what you should do.
Okay.
All right, my love.
Okay, thanks.
Take
Thank you
care.
so much.
Bye. You're welcome.
Okay, bye.
All right, so Nicola has stated that someone has posed a question. Okay, so Melanie has posted a question earlier about a waiver. All right, so Melanie, for some reason, Nicola, can you send me that question because I'm not seeing it in the live? All right, so Max is asking what is prima facie. Usually in immigration, if you're doing for example, you're doing a VAWA case and immigration writes you and say that there is a prima facie determination, what that means basically is on the paperwork that you have sent in, just by looking at the paperwork without more, from what you've sent in your case is believable on the papers that you have been a victim of domestic violence. But the prima facie determination is just like on the surface from what you've sent. It's not a full adjudication. Going into your matter, they may request more documents and so forth before they make a determination. Melanie, Nicola, send me Melanie's question because I am, for some reason, I am not able to see it in the live, right? All right. I know the question is, Melanie said you posted a question about a waiver, but I'm not sure exactly what it is that you are asking concerning a waiver application. All right, so I'll tell you this. Hold on one second, let me see. Okay, so Nicola is saying Melanie didn't post the question. All right, so yes, Melanie, your question is actually not posted in the line, so you are going to have to. Good morning, love. You are on the live.
Good morning. This is Melanie.
Hi, Melanie. You had a question about the waiver?
Yes. I filed for my sister. She's married but divorced,
Okay.
and I filed for her for 14 years now. So that marriage is pending, even though she's divorced. So we're trying to find out what form to use for the waiver, and how long it will take, and if we could have you do it.
Okay, so you said that your sister is divorced and then there's a marriage pending?
No, yes, she's still depending. Yeah, the paper is pending, but now she needs to do a waiver.
Okay. So if your sister needs, and is your sister here?
Yeah.
So you are referring to the provisional waiver?
Yeah, I don't know what waiver very good.
Okay. So is it that she needs a waiver because she's in a preference category? She's not able to adjust here. She has to interview back home?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what she needs is called the provisional waiver. Now, in order to qualify for this waiver, her qualifying relative, even though you're filing for her for the green card, you cannot be the qualifying relative for the provisional waiver because she has overstayed and she's out of status. She needs a US citizen or green card holder, spouse, or parent. If she does not have that qualifying relative, she's not going to get the waiver. You can only file for the green card, but you're not the relative for the waiver because you're a sibling. So is her parent here?
Yes.
And is the parent a green card holder or citizen?
She's a citizen.
Okay, all right. So now your parent is mom or dad?
Mom.
Okay, so mom now acts as the basis for her waiver application. So yeah, she'll be able to do the waiver. Are you able to log in and pay fees?
Yeah.
Okay, so since you have actually paid the fees, then yes, she can.
No, I haven't paid any fees, but I might have an account with them.
Okay, you have to check the account because sibling to sibling is running like 15 years, and that's the reality of it. So you have to. Okay, so you still have to log in, right? And keep checking to see when it is that you can pay. Because in order to submit the waiver application, the payment has to be made for the immigrant visa fee. And thereafter, you put in the waiver application. All right. So you have to keep logging in and see if whether or not you have the ability to pay. When you press the button, the payment portal comes up, because that it's only after that you're able to do the waiver. And do not let more than 1 year pass without checking into the portal. So I would recommend that probably every 3 or 4 months you just sign in to see whether or not you have the ability to pay the fee. All right.
Okay, but do you have to go in to sign a waiver?
What do you mean go in? Everything is on the papers. She doesn't do an interview.
Okay.
And that's just for the waiver. Once, if the waiver is approved, then she goes down to her interview. She spends like, I would say, 4 to 8 weeks down there. All right.
Okay. So if we need somebody like you to do it, we can, right?
Yes, absolutely. You can contact the office.
Okay.
All right, my darling. Take care. Bye. Yeah. So what you'll find is when you fall in a preference category, and what do I mean by that? People who are adult children of US citizens, because for some reason, for citizens, they think that their child over 21 is able to adjust in the United States. And I'll never forget my client after waiting, I think it's such as a single person. So it's after 7.5 years or 8 years, having waited so long, they went into the interview and the officer denied the case. Yeah. So it was a shock because they're thinking, mom is a citizen. Why is it that her case got denied? The case gets denied because you're an adult child, adult children of US citizens, spouses of green card holders, children under 21, children over 21 of green card holders, married children of US citizens, and siblings of US citizens. You are not able to adjust in the United States unless you are what is deemed 245I. And 245I is simply that if anyone was here and remember when the Clinton administration, he brought that back up and said, look, as long as you put in your application before April 30th, 2001, and you can show that you're physically present on December 20th, 2000, then you get to actually do your interview here. And that was a blessing. That's why then you saw a lot of people running to hurry up and get married so they could meet the deadline. People had to keep their receipt notices because you have to have proof, right? Just in case your receipt notice came with a date after the April 30th, 2001 deadline, you could show that you had in fact mailed it before the deadline. So dates, relationships, your timing, it speaks volumes for immigration, right? And one of the things that I believe is a serious misconception concerning immigrants is that immigrants do not pay taxes. That is not true, right? Some do, but you have some that don't. But for the people who do, I'll tell you this. Right now, I really can't see it's more hostility than it is any favor being accorded to immigrants at this time. You can see that, especially with the recent border crossers, people are hostile. And I think New York City is now becoming hostile. And you have to understand, New York City is deemed a sanctuary city. But we have a mayor right now that is a former police captain. And one of the things that he is not in agreement with is if it is that you have someone who has been arrested and he believes that ICE should be notified. Yeah. And the hostility is not against immigrants, but it is an intolerance for immigrants who are here and who have committed crimes. So for people who, for example, I think you had a child, he was 15 or 14 years old, right? And involved in a shooting, no papers. How I understand it is you don't have any papers, you try to live in the shadows so that you don't get apprehended. But to be so blatant where you're going to be committing crimes, and this is why people will they're getting angry, right? You have people here who are struggling, and what they're seeing is they're citizens or they have the legal right to remain. They cannot get any form of financial assistance. And you have people who are just coming and they're getting health insurance, they're getting food stamps, they are getting a place to live. And what amazes me is the entitlement where I think they were putting up tents now, right? Because all of this is costing states who are housing and they're giving away food stamps, they are providing health care, it's costing. But what was amazing to me was when they stated that, because everybody wants to be bused to New York City, right? And what was amazing to me was when they came and they realized that they're not going to be placed in a five-star hotel, it irked me as to the entitlement. Yeah? If you're leaving your home country, you are seeking a place of refuge. Absolutely, some people are running for their lives. But an entitlement where why is it that you're not placed in in a hotel in Manhattan. I to me that is like, are you serious right now, fam? Yeah, this is where I'm like, I'm completely thrown off. It makes absolutely no sense to me, the entitlement. And I tell you, each time I pass the pantries, the lines are just getting longer and longer. And I remember back in the day where you had a food pantry, and like you're getting a whole meal, right? Like really good stuff that you yourself would go in the supermarket and buy. And what is happening now? The prices of things have gotten out of control. People are barely surviving, and that's the reality. Especially you live in a high cost state like New York City, where a 3 bedroom right now, right? And I'm not talking any luxury apartment. A 3 bedroom right now is costing 3,700, sometimes $4,000. This is the reality, and people are trying to compensate for these high mortgage interest rates that they have to pay. They have high mortgages, so nobody's playing right now. The cost of living is, it's through the roof, and that is the reality, you know. So I don't know. I have absolutely no tolerance for people who are entitled, whether it is a client, whether it is a friend, a colleague. Everybody know I have zero tolerance for nonsense. All right. So Renald says, oh, Melanie says they're also staging protests that they need a better place to live. My sister, let me check how you were living back in your home country. I beg. Yeah, the entitlement. It's amazing to me. Does this make sense? All right, so Renault is saying that the election year is very scary nowadays. It's true. This year, I think the whole world right now is going to be watching what is going to happen this November. Yeah? It it is in fact scary. And what is going to happen now is, because as a society, right, the reality is you have all this entitlement going on. The Now, just a reminder, the prices are going up April 1st, right? Some of the fees are nearly doubling because they're adding and piecemealing out the different applications. And anybody who is doing this application, you have to file for a work permit. It is that work permit that causes you to get the social security number. Yeah? So that's now a separate fee. You want a travel document, that's now a separate fee. And your green card fee is also separate, along with, of course, the relative petition. So it's not cheap anymore. Not that it was really cheap before. Yeah. So what I am seeing is the proposals, because the states are frustrated with the federal government. I don't know why I'm coughing, but excuse me. The states are frustrated. So some of the states are creating their own immigration laws, which they're not entitled to do. But what you're seeing is the laws that they're creating, it is anti-immigrant. And I will tell you, any sort of reform that's coming, it's really going to be harsh. I do not see anything really positive coming. People are frustrated, and especially people who have legal status, and they're watching as all these benefits, and then somebody has to pay for it. Yeah. So higher taxes are possibly going to be imposed. Yeah. It's it's going to get really rough out there. Yeah. Now, Sunshine says, how long does it take for an adult child to file for her mother? Daughter has a green card, lives in the US, mother lives in Jamaica. So the daughter cannot file for the mother. The daughter is a green card holder. You must be a US citizen to file for a parent. So that daughter has to upgrade their status, moving from a green card holder to become a citizen. And some people possess this misconception that they can actually start the process when their citizenship application is pending to file for their parent. You cannot. The black letter law is that you must be a US citizen in order to file for your parent. So don't let nobody trick you. You have a lot of tricksters out there. I think this is the year for scamming. Yeah? And you're dealing with these now that you can't see. I think back in the day, it was a little bit better. A man coming to rob you, him coming to rob you in person. We're in the age of the intellectual thief, right? And I'll tell you this, I've had checks written on my account where they call it, I think they call it washing of the check. So right now I have to be so vigilant. Where you write the check, I don't know how, and this is why I think the US Post Office, this has to be one of the reasons that now you are putting the checks or your mail in this in remember, you could have drawn the, I don't know, the thing for the mail, I don't know what you call it, but that thing you put your mail in, right? Those cans or whatever. And your hand could go down into that thing. Now they're doing it in slits. And what's happening now is, and everyone, this is something you have to look out for. They're taking the checks, and this is the explanation that was given to me. They are taking the checks, they're washing it in bleach, your handwriting comes off, and they write what they want. So watch your monies, watch your accounts. We no longer live, not that we could trust before, but we're really not in that age where you can take things for granted. Yeah. Um, I remember the bank had said I had to download that. I'm not with my business account. No, not with the business account. I'm downloading any app. I think right now they have robberies in the Bronx where they're on these little electric bikes or scooters, and they're just grabbing. Of course, they're targeting women because a woman really can't fight a man. Let's get real. So anybody in the Bronx, watch out. They're grabbing your bags, they're grabbing your phones, because most of our lives are in our cell phones. So, and I'm between the Bronx and Queens for my office. So you just have to be careful right now. We are living in an age, it's pretty scary. Yeah, I remember coming home, taking the train at probably 1 a.m. By the time I'm switching trains, you leave from one borough to the next. I'm on the street at 1 a.m. This is something I would not do now. Yeah. Back in the day, you're running late, somebody stop and offer you a ride, you take it. This is something I would not encourage anyone to do. We are living in such a dangerous time. And I would encourage anyone, watch it, kids. Yeah. And you have, as you can see, everybody is coming out and showing their true colors. You watch the news. Well, my news come really from watching it on YouTube. I can't watch TV no more. The nuclear family is so not on the TV. I can't relate to what is going on in the world. And I at this point, nobody really. I'm from a different time and a different age, and culturally, I'm from a different culture. So what has become so acceptable right now? My mind is, I don't want to be so advanced and I don't want to be so progressive. People like Sam George coming out of Ghana gives me hope, trying to protect the nuclear family. So does the president of Kenya. Nigeria has their own laws as well. Nobody is fighting for the nuclear family anymore. It's a different time. In any event, all right, I'm not going to go anymore into your Sunday morning. I know you have your things to do and your families. This is Sunday. I would hope that this is a day that you take time to spend with your family. And thank you for joining us this morning. I will be back next Sunday. I should be back a little bit earlier than today. Yes, it was a challenge this morning. Sometimes there's something that happen. But thank you for tuning in. And don't forget to like the live and share and subscribe. All right. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your week. Have an absolutely blessed Sunday. Walk good, live good. Da, da, da.